Okay, we've talked a little bit about yield and maturity, done a couple problems. Let's talk about it overall, how bond interest rates impact in different scenarios. So the first one is we look at yield to maturity and bond value. Now we've talked about this quite a bit. They move inversely. The 6 3/8 is the $1,000 bond value, as you see in this chart. As the interest rates move lower to 5%, 4%, 3%, the bond value goes up. You can see this chart shows it quite clearly that it just goes up at an increasing rate. If interest rates go higher, 6 3/8 to 7, 8, 9, 10%, the value of the bond goes down. So the chart sometimes can help you understand how often or how smooth the transition is, and you can see it's a one-to-one transition. Is that every time it goes up, every time one of them goes up, the other one goes down. So they move exactly inverse, and so you get this nice graph. Another way to look at this is maturity with regard to volatility. So if you have two exact bonds, but one has more maturity, it's going to take longer. If it takes longer to mature, is it going to be more volatile or less volatile? So the way to think about this is, let's say your bond is going to mature in a week. How much can that bond price move if you know in a week you can get your $1,000 back? It can't move hardly at all. But let's say that bond doesn't mature for 30 years. Well, then it could move quite a bit. I mean, 30 years, lots of things could happen. So the maturity, the longer the term, the wider the swings will be as the price changes. So the longer the maturity, the wider the swings will be in price, because you're not coming closer to that $1,000 getting your money back that you would be if it was a short maturity. And so this graph shows two identical bonds otherwise. The long maturity bond will have a much more volatile and have higher swings, more value changing. The value will change more than the short maturity bond. And the easy way to think about many things is in extremes. So if you're going to get your $1,000 back tomorrow because the bond's going to mature, the bond price today is going to be $1,000. If a week ago it might have been a little off $1,000, but not very much. But if you're not going to get your money back for 30 years, well, the bond price can move all over the place. So that's an easy way to think about maturity and bond price volatility. The longer the maturity, the more it can move. The second one is coupon rates and bond prices. So if you have two identical bonds otherwise, and one has a low coupon rate and one has a high coupon rate, the low coupon rate will have more volatility than the high coupon rate. And that's because you'll get paid back sooner. So in the Greek financial crisis, bonds were paying 30, 40, 50%. So every year you get 50% of your money back. That's unbelievable. Of course, that's fantastic. So, and they were very volatile at the time. But you think about that, 50% of your money back in 2 years. Well, that really shortens how fast I get my money back. And if it's a 20-year bond, but I get my money back in 2 years, that's unbelievable. So, you think about it in terms of volatility and maturity. The sooner you get your money back, the less volatile it's going to be. So the lower coupon bonds, the coupons that don't pay you much return and you have to wait to get your $1,000 back for a long time, is going to be more volatile than something that pays you a high rate of interest, 10, 12, 15%, and you get your money back fairly soon. So when you think of volatility in bonds, the bounciness of the price, the lower the coupon, the more it's going to bounce. The longer the time, the more it's going to bounce. Low coupons, low interest rates, and long maturities bounce more. They have more volatility, more change in price given a same result as a high coupon bond with a short maturity. So those are two different ways to look at bonds. The text here gives you a way to think about it with regard to bond volatility. This is also on your slides. You might want to make reference to it to any quiz or exams I give on volatility. So this is a good example of thinking through what could happen in the future. So you're probably not going to calculate bond prices going forward. But what you should be thinking about is, I have loans out there. The company could have loans out there, or you could have loans, or you could own bonds. And you want to start thinking about, okay, what is the big factor in bonds, in my investments or the company's investments? And it really is interest rates. And it's also the amount of return you get on the bonds, the coupon rates, or the time to maturity. So watch interest rates. If you have long-term bonds with low coupons, which a lot of people have nowadays, they're going to be very volatile if interest rates start to move. And interest rates are all-time lows, so that's something definitely to be watching for. That wraps up maturity. Let's move on to something else.